So we were talking about animal foods, high-quality animal foods, and this is where I'd like to bring in some information about raw milk. Raw milk, we are finding, and more research is indicating that it truly is an amazing food. Unfortunately, it's a food that's been demonized. All the healthy foods have been demonized. And we're told that raw milk is inherently dangerous and will kill you, and you're playing Russian roulette with your health to drink raw milk. So let's first address the question of raw milk safety. Okay, so consider the calf born in the muck. The first thing that calf does is stand up and suckle on its mother's manure-covered teat. Filthy situation. How can that calf possibly survive? What a terrible system Mother Nature has devised for mammals. And so we have to make it better by sterilizing or pasteurizing the milk. Well, the reason the calf survives, the reason mammals survive, is because milk is an amazing substance that contains multiple redundant systems of bioactive components that reduce or eliminate populations of pathogenic bacteria. And I'm going to very quickly go through these. This is not meant to be exhaustive. You can go to our website, realmilk.com, and get all the references for what I'm going to say. There are two main enzyme systems in raw milk. Number one is lactoperoxidase, which uses small amounts of hydrogen peroxide and free radicals to, like heat-seeking missiles, destroys pathogens. The lactoperoxidase is higher in animal milk than it is in human milk, because animals are dirtier. By the way, we have lactoperoxidase in tears, in saliva, in urine. It's in all mammalian secretions, and this is why these secretions don't make us sick. The other main enzyme in raw milk is lactoferrin, which kills pathogens by stealing iron away from them. And it does so by getting the baby to absorb all the iron in the milk. So this is a double duty. It steals iron away, and it helps the baby absorb all the iron in the milk. So that's why babies on raw milk do not develop anemia. They get all the iron. Lactoferrin helps kill TB and candida. Most pathogens are iron loving, and the lactoferrin, it takes the iron away from them. Milk is rightly called white blood because it contains all the components of blood except for red blood cells. Leukocytes, B lymphocytes, macrophages, neutrophils, T lymphocytes, immunoglobulins, and antibodies. All of these are in raw milk. So raw milk actually creates the immune system in the infant. Special fats and carbohydrates kill pathogens, encourage the growth of good bacteria, help build a healthy gut lining, and help with digestion. Other bioactive components, enzymes, lysozyme, disrupt bacterial cell walls. Hormones and growth factors help the gut mature. Mucins, fibronectin, glycomycropeptide. I mean, it's just, the more we look, the more we find in milk. And then there's good bacteria in milk, beneficial bacteria, and something called bifidus factor, which encourages the beneficial bacteria to grow. No other food has this system. Raw milk is actually the safest food on the planet. That doesn't mean it hasn't sometimes gotten people sick. This system can be overwhelmed with too many pathogens. But no other food has this system that destroys pathogens. B12 binding protein reduces B12 in the colon, which harmful bacteria need for growth, and it does this by binding with the B12 and making sure it's absorbed. So once again, it does a double duty. Lactoglobulins carry vitamins A and D, and possibly other nutrients into the bloodstream. So we have a five-fold system in raw milk that destroys pathogens, stimulates and builds the immune system, builds a healthy gut wall, prevents the absorption of pathogens and toxins in the gut, and ensures the assimilation of all the nutrients. And all of these things are active in breast milk. They're all active in raw milk. When you pasteurize, they're largely inactivated. They're greatly inactivated with ultra-pasteurization, and here's the infant formula. So if you do get some kind of contamination in these foods, the bad bacteria can grow, and they really do become dangerous. You know, there have been many, many recalls of infant formula due to, contamination by pathogens. And we hear so much about raw milk being dangerous, but dairy in general is a very safe food, even though it's a highly consumed food. The real dangers are in fish and shellfish, which we can buy raw and eat raw, poultry, eggs, beef, pork, produce. Dairy is really a safe food, and raw milk is safer than the pasteurized milk. And there have been many outbreaks due to pasteurized milk, some of them causing a number of deaths. In 2006, in 2000, actually that should be 2007, there were 3 deaths in Massachusetts from pasteurized milk. Last year there were 6 deaths from pasteurized cheese in Europe. So we have combed the literature, and we have found not a single case of death caused by raw milk, fluid raw milk. And, you know, this notion that we can even get rid of pathogens is faulty. Pathogens survive on coins, they survive on cookware, they're in soy foods, they're in powdered foods, they're in breast milk. The notion that breast milk is sterile is false. We now know that breast milk contains pathogens often at very high levels, and they come through the milk ducts. They really actually travel from the intestine into the milk ducts and into the milk. And this is actually a good thing, because then the immune factors, all the antibodies and everything in the milk, when they see this pathogen, they help create an immunity in the infant. So it's not a good thing for mom to be too clean when she's breastfeeding, because when she's exposed to pathogens, she gives the immunity to her babies. Listeria monocytogenes, this is a really bad food pathogen. It can kill you. And, USDA is always talking about Listeria in raw milk. We did a FOIA request, and we found not a single report of illness from Listeria in raw fluid milk. Yes, in the soft cheeses, but not in raw milk. And we actually found a government document that said on a per-serving basis, you're 10 times more likely to get Listeria from deli meats than from any kind of raw milk product. And yet the government is not warning people not to eat deli meats. So there's a real double standard with the FDA. The campaign against raw milk began in 1945 with the publication of an article about a town called Crossroads, USA in Coronet magazine, in which they said that about 1/3 of the people in Crossroads, USA died of undulant fever, which they contracted from drinking raw milk. This was then repeated in Reader's Digest the next year. Just one little problem. There was no town called Crossroads. There was no outbreak of undulant fever. This never happened. The whole thing was a lie from the beginning. And the proponents of pasteurization have been lying ever since about the dangers of raw milk. Here's the Reader's Digest article. Well, what about all these reports of raw milk causing illness? We have actually analyzed every one of these reports, and the vast majority should be thrown in the trash can. They are highly biased and blame raw milk often when there is no proof. And these reports are used to shut down raw milk. For example, there was an outbreak of Campylobacter in the city of Atlanta. They blamed raw milk, but they didn't find any problems at the dairy. But they still blamed raw milk, and they used this outbreak, which was obviously not caused by raw milk, to shut down the dairy. In 2001, Tim Whiteman was running a cow share program. There was